Welcome back to Transaction Care. My name is Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lily. And today we're discussing listings. Now, this is a topic that is very crucial and important in the real estate industry. So if you are a homeowner considering selling their home, a realtor that works in listings or considering working in listings, a TC that manages listings or does not want to manage listings but is interested in doing so, this is the video for you. We are going to be discussing simply the fundamentals. I just want to open up this dialogue. I don't want to get into too many details or create any liabilities because I want to make sure you're also doing your own due diligence, your own research, and are holding yourself accountable in this process. This is simply, like I said, to create a space for us to discuss this topic because it can be very vast, very detailed, very time consuming. And if you aren't doing certain steps properly, that can get you in a lot of trouble in the long run. And we don't want that. And we want to protect our sellers and our home buyers as best as possible in this process. That is our responsibility, truly. Before we get started, you know the drill. Are you subscribed? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And also check out my website, transactioncare.com. You can sign up for my weekly newsletter. You can consider joining my TC community membership and become a member, as well as one-on-one coaching. I'm also a certified life coach, as well as licensed real estate agent and certified transaction coordinator. So if you need any help in those areas, just hit me up. So let's talk about listings, pre-sale escrows. So before someone gets a buyer, you have to prepare the home for sale. Now, I'm just discussing things from my point of view as a TC and what I've seen has worked and what doesn't. And I'm also speaking from a residential real estate standpoint. I'm not going to be getting into any commercial transactions, business, land, mobile homes, etc. Although those may fall in, some of those categories may fall into residential. I just want to keep it as simple and basic to the point for the sake of this video. And like I said, just opening the dialogue, not necessarily giving you every single detail. You're gonna have to, like I said, do your own research on the back end in order to make sure you're in compliance, and also talk to your broker, talk to your office manager, and check with your local associations of realtors to make sure that you're following their standards, rules, laws, and such. Okay, let's get started. So before a seller puts their home on the market, generally they can either decide to represent themselves, which is a lot of liability, but it is possible. If they choose to use a realtor, you're going to have to get in contract and make sure things are in writing. And if there are verbal agreements, you want to at some point get something in writing as soon as reasonably possible. But for the most part, once you have, assuming we're working with contracts, once you have those established, you want to make sure that everything is dated correctly, that they've spelt their names correctly, that the price is correct. And there's a lot of new regulations and a lot of new laws regarding commissions and how they're being paid and dispersed. So you want to make sure you're reading your contracts thoroughly, as well as explaining to said sellers about that process, because they may be responsible for 2 commissions versus 1 because of what they assumed. So as a realtor, you want to make sure you're explaining these things as thoroughly as possible. Now, if you're a transaction coordinator, you start the process, unless your services disclose otherwise, you start the process as soon as you get a ratified contract. So as soon as you get that signed listing agreement, then you can start your process. If your services include pre-escrow things such as listing appointments, meaning when a realtor goes out to go basically pitch themselves to sellers to be their clients, you maybe as a TC or an assistant may prepare a booklet or a digital profile of the property with CMAs, which are comparative market analyses that compare different properties within the home to give the seller a gauge of, this is how much homes in this area are worth. This is what you can consider for your home. But of course, all of that, the price is up to the sellers, not you. And just making sure things are done ethically, morally, and legally, of course, always. But depending on what services you offer, you're either going to be starting pre-listing, like I said, during the listing appointments, or as soon as you get that ratified contract. So then once you get that ratified contract and you're good to go, you want to make sure, like I said, is the expiration date good? Because I know at the beginning of the year, we may get in the habit of putting 2024 when it's 2025. I saw a lot of that in January. So you want to definitely verify information like that, price, spelling of the names, any notes like listing agent responsible for home inspection or seller to pay for pest inspection, things of that nature. And again, services, if you're a TC, can vary. Some TCs offer services where they will, once the seller selects who they're going to use for their home inspection or their pest inspection, sometimes the TC will coordinate those phone calls and those inspections. I err on the side of the realtor schedules those appointments because their schedules can fluctuate as well as the inspector's schedule. And I have found that that is its own job in itself. And I've been stuck in situations where I'm just managing back and forth, playing tennis, where I'm just going back and forth like, okay, they can't do this day, they can't do this day. And it takes me away from my actual job. So be mindful of that, TCs, when you are helping realtors with listings and what you decide to take on. I would charge an additional service fee if you are going to do that. Otherwise, just stick to the standard practices of managing the documents and the correspondence back and forth. So one of the first steps I highly recommend is getting a prelim, a title report, so you know exactly how the seller is already holding title. Too many times in my career early on, I was working with top producers. Keep that in mind. Top producers that could care less about their sellers and just wanted everything done so quickly. But I come from an old school office and brokerage, which I'm grateful to have learned it that way. But you want to check the vesting. If there's two sellers on the contract and you're having one seller do everything right out the gate, then you get in the contract and you find out there's 10 other sellers on the title, or one other person, it's just going to delay the whole process and create a kerfuffle or just create delays that you don't want. And the sooner you can get the title explained and understood, and you can also see on the prelim, if the seller owes any money, if there's any liens on the property, and so much more information through that. But pro tip, I just don't suggest you rushing to get everything done when you can truly just go in the order of operations. It'll get done eventually. It just may not get done all in 24 hours. A lot of these realtors wanted me to get things done in 24 hours when prelims take anywhere from 1 to 10 business days, not counting holidays. So it is a slower process, listings. It does take a lot of time. And if you're a TC that is only doing listings, you have to factor that in when it comes to getting paid. Because I've had listings that are still sitting on the market 2 years later. They come off the market, they go back on the market. They get rented out, then come back later. But you've done all this upfront work and haven't gotten paid. So that's another. I will discuss fees and how to get paid as a TC in a separate video. But for now, I just want to talk about the process of a listing. So like I said, it is a long drawn out process, and listings can be good for up to 90 days, 30 days, 1 year. It just all depends on what you agree upon with the seller as a realtor, what you guys negotiate, and those terms, and sticking to those terms. Listings can get extended, so you'd want to use the proper paperwork to extend the listing and not just verbally agree, because then you'll be breaching the contract or out of contract, and that can create liability if your contract expires May 1st and it's July 3rd and you're getting into contract. You no longer have that listing technically. So you want to make sure you're using the proper paperwork, like a modification of terms. It could be called something else in other cities and states, but for the most part, a modification of terms will help you to extend dates, change prices, or amend any other terms that you've already agreed upon in said contract. So there's that. But once you've kind of moved forward in the process, you want to start thinking about the timeline of a listing. If a home is brand new, there's nothing that needs to be done. Generally, you'll probably go on the market that same week or the following week. But if a listing needs work, like maybe it needs to be painted, maybe they want to change the floors from carpet to tile, or they want to renovate the bathroom before it goes on sale, or get inspections done prior to it going on the market, that's going to create an extended timeline. So that may take 30 days. So if your listing is good for a year, you as a TC may not be doing anything for 30 days after you get that contract. But in between then, you can be following up with your realtor and asking them questions like, when are you going on the market? Is the home vacant? Who do you want to open escrow with? I send this email the first 24 hours. Who will be paying for XYZ inspections or reports? And other questions like that. Is there an HOA? Have you been involved in a previous sale of the home? Are there any referrals? I call this my new listings questionnaire because so many times, like I said in the past, I've learned the hard way where realtors will set me up for the okie doke and say, just get it done, just get it done. And then as soon as something gets wrong, they blame me. When I was trying to do things the right way. But that's, I have to be responsible and accountable and not always be placing the blame, because I have now learned my lesson, but in the past, you just take it as an L and move on. And you can either continue working with them or let them go or be let go. But through the process of doing the work, whether it was wrong or right, always ethical, always legal, but wrong or right in the sense of now we have to backtrack and redo everything to correct the mistakes that they were trying to rush to bypass. So take your time when it comes to listings, and as a TC, be mindful of when properties are going on the market, because then that way you're not dropping everything to work on that one listing. You are taking your time and realizing, oh, okay, well, the realtor said that this one's not coming on for another 2 months, so I can schedule to do the work for this one. I could follow up in about 30 days to see how things are going. And then if they want to get started sooner than that, I'll do so. But for now, I don't have to worry about it. But if it's on the flip side of that, where something's coming on the market right away, then you're going to have to make some arrangements. This is why I always say to have a TC management platform, because you can just insert the property with the dates and it'll infuse itself automatically in your agenda and tell you when something is due and how important it is, and versus you just dropping everything, like I said, to do it all at once. Time management is key. Boundaries are key. Mental health is key. Other things to consider when it comes to listings are your disclosures, making sure that your sellers are actually aware of how to fill out the disclosures. You don't tell them what to say. You don't, especially if you don't have a license. If you're a TC without a license, you shouldn't be talking to the sellers at all. But everyone's different. No judgment. I'm just saying, don't get yourself in trouble if you can help it. And as a realtor, don't leave your clients hang dry and just be left liable. I've gotten so many questionnaires returned and they skipped questions. If they answered yes, they didn't explain anything. And as a realtor, as much as you get paid, if you don't feel like, if you think sitting with your client is a waste of time, guiding them through the process and reviewing the work that they've done and just saying, hey, you skipped this question, would you mind going back and answering that? Or, hey, I noticed you said yes to question number 3. Could you provide an explanation in this box that says, please explain? Then you shouldn't be a realtor. Point blank, period. And if you're leaving everything to everyone else, if you're outsourcing everything that is major when it comes to your sellers and representing them, I don't think you should be doing this as a job. I understand there's metrics and stats that you want to achieve and awards you want to get, but that's all vanity. If you're not doing your due diligence or your fiduciary duty as a realtor to protect your client and to care for them and to be loyal to them, then you're just being negligent. And yeah, I'm calling you out. Take it or leave it. There have been so many moments where I'm like, should I just be a realtor? And then I think about the schedule and the life, and maybe one day. I'm not discounting it, I'm not disregarding it, but I am just saying from my experience of 20 years of seeing disclosures come back incomplete and done wrong, I'm just like, do you even care? Did you even look at this? Are you so jaded, or are you so careless that you just handed it off to someone else for them to fix it? Because if that happens too many times, I'm not going to take you on as a client anymore, or we're just going to have to talk about it first. And if I keep seeing you making the same mistakes, I have to walk away. I don't care how good the money is, because now you're putting my name and my emails in the line of fire, and you're including me in a potential lawsuit. And I don't want that. I don't care how much E&O one person has. I'm good. Listings are very important. It's a very important process in the real estate, in the steps of real estate. And if you aren't managing those early steps, such as contracts, dates, prices, disclosures, it's just going to be a mess the whole time. So communication is key. And there's a lot more that we could cover, but I kind of want to wrap it up there, because we could get into disclosure packages. Go back and watch my video on how to organize a file. I think that would help you a lot in knowing how to put together a disclosure packet, or at least knowing how to organize your files to stay in correspondence and to know where things are at in an orderly fashion. Otherwise, stay tuned for more videos. We're going to be talking about this and many topics related to real estate, business, and mindset in the future. But until then, my name is Lillian Hernandez. You can call me Lily. And this is Transaction Care. And until the next video, care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Let's coordinate. Talk soon. And you know the drill. Go ahead and click on any one of these two videos here and double tap my smiley face so you can subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you again for watching.